Check this out. My search for the perfect DJ controller continues, and this time it's the Jogvision from Hercules.
Hello.
My dream is that one day I'll be able to walk into a club with absolutely no equipment and be able to start DJing on the perfect setup. It'll be ergonomically ideal for me, know exactly how I like everything to be set up, and I'll have automatic access to playlists of every song I could ever need. However, for the moment I have to carry around a huge bag full of equipment, and for some DJ sets actually take a controller with me. I won't complain too much though, as it's still far better than having to carry 6 back-breaking record boxes like I used to. When I'm at home, I still mostly use my 1210s, so lots of the controller testing I'm doing currently is in the attempt to find my favourite portable controller that I can easily take to gigs and events. The Jogvision is a 2-channel DJ controller with large, sturdy jog wheels. It works perfectly for standard beat matching and DJing needs, but as with all controllers, it's the added extras and the specifics of the design that set them apart from the crowd. The Jogvision is definitely unique in its design and has some very interesting features. Let's see if they're an enhancement or a hindrance. The body of the Jogvision is robust and sturdy, with a unique recessed shape to keep the headphone and mic knobs from getting damaged. The build quality is really nice on the unit, but not so great on the knobs and sliders, which feel a little too plastic for my liking. Lots of the buttons have backlit LED slits, which indicate when they're selected. This is a lovely touch, and their rubberized design makes them feel great. The jog wheels are the stars of this controller though, with a heavy and quality feel and definitely inspire confidence. Pushing and slowing the side of the jog wheel enables you to speed and slow the track in both modes, and when in vinyl mode, touching the top stops the track so you can scratch with it. The jog wheels have display screens in the centre that show you how far through the track you are and the rotation direction. However, none of this syncs to the BPM. There's a light to show you when a track is playing. The 4 trigger pads feel okay, but I like a slight give so I know I've pressed them, and of course 8 would always be preferable. There are the obligatory play, cue and sync buttons, but personally I don't really like their layout. They are at least reachable when my hand is on the platter though. A shift button sits next to them, and when selected switches them to sync off, stutter and to restart the track. Anything written in blue across the controller shows the effect that pressing the shift button has. I feel this entire area, which is one of the most used when DJing, could be improved in terms of its functionality and layout quite considerably. The last button in this area is a mode toggle button, which gives you access to the 4 additional cues and samples available in Serato. Scrolling through these modes is a little fiddly when DJing, as you have to press mode and then hit the corresponding pad to select. The usual crossfader and volume fader layout works well, and I like a small crossfader, especially as this one is light for scratching and crabbing easily. I do worry that it might not last too long and isn't replaceable though. My main complaint with the crossfader is that it fades rather than cuts, and seeing as you have 2 long volume faders for gentle blends, I would always make the crossfader cut straight in, especially as there is no way to change this to your preference. There are volume indicator lights next to the volume sliders which work nicely and are easy to interpret. However, in between the volumes lie 4 buttons in a ridiculously prominent position that are used comparatively rarely. There's the vinyl button, and to this day I've never understood why anyone uses the other setting. The mic button then also works like a talkover switch, and I often don't want that when DJing, and I want to choose when it's needed. The view button changes the setup of your view in Serato, and when used with the sync button rotates through the effects and samples. I usually set my view once and then keep it like that unless something goes wrong. And as you can also change it in Serato, having it on the controller seems slightly redundant to me. The last of these 4 buttons is the load prepare, which is a function I always forget to use but is actually quite handy and lets you line up the next few tracks you want to play. It's kind of like a temporary sub crate, but I still feel putting it between the crossfaders and volume sliders is just a nuisance. Above these buttons are 4 lights to show which beat of the bar you're on, which is a feature I wanted in the display wheel really. In the upper part of the central section we find a really nice big knob to select tracks and individual load buttons. These are features you'll use continually, so I like their positioning and size. Next to them are headphone cue buttons with lights to show when selected. The headphone inputs themselves are located in the recessed front of the controller with large and small inputs. volume knob, and buttons for cue and mix. Next to these is a mic input with dedicated volume. Back in the central section are the high, mid and low EQ knobs, which are a necessity, but I always miss having a dedicated filter alongside these. Admittedly, you can achieve the same results using Serato's built-in effects, but it just slows down the process for me, and speed is essential for outstanding DJ sets. Sitting above each jog wheel are the pitch controls, which are very short. This always gives less precision but can be good for speed. Next to them is the effect and looping section. First up are two buttons. One is a key lock and doubles up as a slip functionality, and the other is a button to toggle between effects and loops. There are 3 dedicated buttons for this, but I found this whole section quite confusing and not very intuitive. There is also a multi-effects button and a knob to control how much effect is applied. Nestled in this section, however, is another button to turn on something that's much more fun and a unique Jogvision feature I've never come across on any other controller: air effects. The air effects is located right at the very top central area of the controller and is what I can only describe as a Theremin style filter. As you lower your hand to the unit, you control the filter cutoff. Just watch this. It's great fun and really good for performing, feeling really natural and intuitive. DJing can often be quite a boring thing to watch, and anything that can give a sense of drama for the crowd can really add to a performance. On the back of the unit are the inputs and outputs, including an aux in, a booth out, a dedicated volume, RCA and aux master outs, USB and DC in. So what do I think of this controller? As I said, it works perfectly well and the jog wheels feel great to DJ with, but it seems to have some really big missed opportunities. My first gripe is that the layout seems a little ill-conceived and slightly confused from the DJ's perspective. Hercules haven't positioned everything following the simple rule of what is used the most regularly. The Jogvision requires its own power source and can't run off the USB alone, and for a controller of this size, I'd really expect that, as many of its competitors do. As every DJ will know, sometimes plug sockets are not readily available or in close proximity. I was very confused at the fact there's no overall master volume control, as this is something used all the time, but there is a dedicated booth volume control. I know this is also necessary, but it just seems strange to have one without the other, especially when so many lower end mixers and controllers have no booth output at all. Another thing I found difficult to deal with was the lack of individual gains, as I use these on nearly every single mix I ever do. Instead, you need to press shift and turn the track select knob, which is already getting annoying. But then once you've changed it, there's no visual indication or way of knowing how to get it back to zero. This means a lot more attention is required to each track and lots more button pressing. Gain really is one of the things I use most, especially when playing lots of different genres from different eras. Apart from that, it's a good controller for an affordable price. It's a good size, feels like it won't break easily when transporting, and the air effects is a fun addition. I'm not sure it would take the crown as the best controller in its price bracket, but I can happily play for hours on it, both in clubs and at home.
Hello.
Subscribe.